Okay, we're going to call to order the meeting of the Conservation Advisory Council for June 12th, 2023, 7:30 PM. Okay, the first order of business is to review the minutes and approve them as we were recorded. Anybody have any comments on them? Let's take a look. I'll start with my first one is that it says that a member submitted a statement which was read by me, and I was hoping that we would have it included as an add-on to the minutes as a separate sheet. So
Yes.
I'm going to give this to Christine. She can just add it on the email I got from Louis. Thank you very much. It was very well written.
Fabulous points. Yeah,
To the committee.
excellent. Yeah,
The only other item I had on it was on the second on Cheekwood Avenue, was that the FEMA and flood zone, I think should be AEEL-8, which is the AE FEMA zone at an elevation of 8 down there, so. And that's, so to Cheekwood. That's all I had on it, 2 items, so. Anybody else have any?
No, that's good.
So make a motion to accept.
I make a motion to accept the minutes with additions.
Okay.
Second.
Oh, second. Got it, 3.
yes, all in
Six.
favor.
6-0 in favor.
I'm involved in your reading, yes.
All right, now next is the Carpay Wetlands Permit application at 9B Peconic Avenue. I think I just start off and then everybody can add if they want or something. It's a very interesting project because the entire site is in the 75-foot wetlands application. It's built in, I think it said 54, I don't recall exactly, but something like that. So it was before the wetlands 129 was adopted. And it's a very beautiful site, but it's in the wetlands, so we have to be careful what we allow in that area. And I think anybody living in the wetlands almost becomes a steward of the wetlands that they're in, because they're in there and should respect them highly. My first comment was, first of all, the Bennett and Reed are no longer that represents the Carpays. So that should just be marked off. I mean, I talked to the building department. They said what they generally do is it's a diminuting circumstance. It's very minor change. They just take the line through there and have the town attorney sign it, initial it, and that they're no longer the people in charge of it, and the Carpays are handling it themselves. I talked to Julie Carpay, and she said that there's nothing wrong with that they can do it.
Okay.
So this is the first item. Unfortunately, the expansion that's indicated on the plan, the little pieces that they're adding are all in the wetlands, and this is not allowed by code. The footprint cannot be expanded in the 75-foot. So that has to be taken off, no expansion. And that's in section 129-2 of the code. It's something. Third thing was to indicate the silt fencing on the site plan. It's not shown. It has to be shown so the town building department knows where it is and where it's supposed to be. So it's the third item. Now this one is for Petter. This is interesting. I talked to, the septic is in a 75-foot vegetation buffer. And I talked to Meg about this and she said, that's all up to the health department where this.
Yeah, this was all a best fit because there's no, this place is unique.
Very.
I mean, it's, they have no room, So they basically bought the place with no potable water. They didn't realize the well was no good. Yeah, and the well is way out down the road.
Down the road.
But they had a well on the property itself, which was just pumping salt.
Oh,
So years and years ago, for the former guy, I forget his name.
who they bought it from, I forget.
Yeah, anyway, I built a cistern, 10,000 gallon concrete cistern, and that's what he used. He collected his rainwater, and he ran it through a UV light and a filter system and everything else, and that's what he ran the house on. And the same thing with the guy down the road.
Down Foster, down.
Foster too, yeah, that was like a 6,500 gallon one he built for that. And that worked great for years and years. Of course, the health department wouldn't accept that.
Right.
But they would both split like a tanker of water in like July or August, because by the end of June, they were sunk in salt water. That was what it was. So even their appliances would get destroyed, everything.
Yeah.
So, and it worked great. And actually, Foster, I think, is still working off the cistern, but they'll split a tanker of water when it starts to get low and there's no rain. And, I think he still has it going, even though he has the well, until this renovation gets up and going. But they're not actually expanding the building at all, are they?
Yes, they are.
How much?
Not much, like 400 square feet or something.
Yeah, aren't they allowed, 100 square feet anyway, right?
And I don't, yeah, but they had that covered by a previous thing, that fire pit or whatever it is.
Right.
The code says, no expansion in the 75, but they can go upward, which
Right.
I don't feel they're going from a 2-bedroom house to a 4-bedroom. So they're going to be stressing that area.
Right, right.
But
Well, they've got the IA in there, which is good,
yeah, that's,
really conscious about water, super conscious. So it's not like they'll be out there watering plants and stuff.
that's a pressurized system, right?
No,
It's not, I thought I saw the extra.
Yeah, no, it's gravity. I don't know if they have the updated, the final survey. What's on this one?
It's on the survey.
It's on this one here, yeah. That was done, I think, a couple years ago.
Yeah, 21.
Right.
Everything was done, so
Yeah.
it's been, I thought it was a pressurized, I was saying.
So where are they actually expanding? What part?
Just the little footage to the side and the garage, you'll expand that. Those
Right.
things. Very small pieces, but it's a violation of the code, so
Yeah. Are they aware of any of that when they had it designed?
ask them that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the code item, they should be aware of it, and the architect should be aware of it. The responsibility of professionals to check all codes before he starts work.
Right.
And they should come forward if they say, so ask the building department, can we get a variance on that?
Right.
But that's what they're doing now, I guess, so.
Oh, trying to get a variance? Yeah.
Well, they would have to. I mean, I would not accept it as a,
I mean, it's super tight. There's probably nothing tighter than this, but
yeah, but
at least they've got all the, the health of the well, all that stuff is straightened out.
is the well right up by Peconic Avenue?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the one that they list on the site plan.
Right.
And you go by it,
Yeah,
because there's two very close to them, but both of them are salted. I guess.
right. Yeah, oh, yeah, everything in that whole area is.
And that was,
bootleggers or Peconic Avenue?
I think it goes up bootleggers
Right.
towards there. I'm not sure where they actually sunk the well.
Yeah,
It used to be right by that telephone pole where the entrance was.
yeah.
Yeah, that's-
Yes, I know that.
I don't know where it is now. They might have gone up did the town give them an easement?
oh, yeah, right.
I think so.
They went way up the street.
Right.
That's right. I remember that. That was written there, right?
Yeah. But I mean, they're super nice people too, and they kind of got, taken advantage of a little bit in the beginning there, so I feel sorry for them. They've been working on this for so many years. It's ridiculous,
Well,
but it is what it is.
yeah, no, I think you're right. We consider that, but I don't accept going against the code at all. I don't think it's necessary if they're going up a whole floor and adding 2 bedrooms.
Right.
Their house is big enough.
It's just a shame that wasn't all brought to the architect in the beginning. It's like, look, design this thing, because now it's like a start over,
Right.
so it's like,
But I think Howard's point about a professional architect should know to check the code before they, launch into a design. So isn't that really true?
well, yeah, Sure.
Right, I mean, we shouldn't be having this conversation.
I know, but that's what goes on.
Yeah, right.
You know.
Well, maybe if we hold, tight as it relates to the code, it won't continue to go on.
Right.
I mean, that's sort of what I think.
Yeah. And sometimes people will say, well, let's see, this is a small little thing. You know, we don't really need all of that, and we redesign it down back, but any increase in the footprint is against the code, and as a committee, I don't think we should accept it at all.
Right.
From a conservation standpoint, they couldn't build the house right now.
Right.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
And that's where it starts. They were allowed to keep the house, and no one tells them that they can make the house as pretty as it can be.
Right.
Right.
The house is not small. I mean, what, 2,800 square foot, right? Can't
Something like that.
print.
That's good size.
You're right.
The other people have a lot more bedrooms in there than 4.
Right.
So a creative architect can probably make that into a pretty house.
Yeah.
Extending, putting a second floor on there puts pressure, they already have to ship in water. In other words, the ecosystem is already maxed out there.
Yes.
The septic system, that is a move that certainly everyone appreciates, is the right thing to do. But 4 bedrooms pooping is more than 2 bedrooms pooping.
Absolutely.
No matter how many milliliter.
Well, they have, what do they have, 2 kids, 2 or 3 kids?
Yeah.
Right?
So I mean, it is what it is, you know?
And then another aspect of all of these is the kids, yes, but there's always an element of, this is a gorgeous spot and it's maximizing value and therefore future profit. That's certainly an aspect of all of these projects.
Yes.
Anybody who buys a house, I think that's the object.
Yeah,
Well,
okay,
maybe.
but they bought a house that was non-conforming when they bought it. It's not sprung upon them innocently. They are educated
Right.
people.
Yeah, the only thing they were surprised about was no water.
Right.
If you don't ask that question, they don't have to say.
Probably not gonna say.
I don't,
But they've resolved that.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
10 years later.
Literally years.
Yes.
Yeah, since
Yeah.
I've been on the town board, they've been looking for that. And I think, and by the way, they're no different than any of their neighbors for that matter in that area.
Right.
Yeah.
It's an area it's tough for water, between the Forsters and them and people along that road right there. It's been tough.
So,
Water literally on 3 sides of you, to the east,
Oh, yeah.
to the west, and you have it to the south. The only place, well, you do have it to the north, but it's further up.
the only thing that I was thinking, like when the health department allowed the septic to go in, they should tell the town or something,
Oh, they did. There was a whole,
It's all-
yeah, I mean, I don't know if you remember, way back when Lori Beard Raymond was part of the WPA, she was there, involved with the building department stuff. That whole thing with needing a wetlands permit to do the septic was all thrown out because anything you're doing to improve the conditions,
Of the original septic.
without adding months and months of time for no reason at all, because, that was all handled. So, I mean, this was done, that was why this was all done ahead of time.
Right.
From the construction anyway, and that took years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But to have like a wetlands permit to abandon a cesspool that's 12 feet from the water, is kind of like,
Or a pipe going out in the water.
well, that's kind of where it was on the edge of that bank. I mean, it's just back then they did what they, what's more than half the pipes went out in the water,
Yeah.
so,
In those days, if
yeah, that's what they did.
you didn't have an outhouse, that's,
I mean, it just is what it is. But I mean, things have gotten a lot better.
yeah. So they went way up on Peconic Avenue then, or
I think they did, yeah, I'm not positive,
it
but
says there somewhere, they're
Yeah.
way up on there.
yeah.
So
There's like everybody's well is up in that same area.
Yes.
is that all on town property?
No, I think that's privately owned, that corner there. I don't think that's all town property, or the part where the Silver Beach line is.
Yes.
That corner right there. Yeah, I guess we own about 12 feet of, from the middle of the road in. But I'm not, some of those wells that you can see there are further than 12 feet in. We
Right,
don't own that property. Somebody cuts that, the town doesn't cut that property. It's privately cut.
right.
So
I'm not sure who owns that.
somebody allowed them to.
Allowed
do
them to
that.
put it, or?
They had asked several of their neighbors if they could do, and they did not get that cooperation. So eventually they came to the town. I think Jay was still away at that particular point, and I don't think it went through initially there. But they were desperate. I mean, they couldn't shower there, they couldn't run a dishwasher, they couldn't do anything basically
Right.
there. They were going to the other house and taking care of all that. Their water was in bad shape.
Yeah, without the cisterns, they couldn't have done anything there, you know, so.
It was,
And that was a tough place to dump a cistern too, because that road, imagine backing a tractor trailer down there.
oh,
They get as far as they could, and then they'd have to run 300 or 400 feet of hose, and
yes. You literally have to back it down there because you could not turn it around down there.
No.
And there's no way to turn that around.
I saw the water truck when I was down there, backed into Foster's down there.
yeah, as far as they could, yeah.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So they still have a cistern there?
Yeah, I don't know if they're using it now that they got their well straightened out, but I was all done before they had the well straightened out.
Right,
The
right.
septic part of it, so at that point, they were, using it, but.
Okay, so, I still think, we're going from a 2-bedroom to a 4-bedroom, but it's allowed by code, and as long as they don't expand the footprint, I think.
Yeah.
And
I mean, a question about it's allowed by code. I mean, do we have the latitude to, given this particular project and the fact that it wouldn't be approved today because of where the house is placed, but it's there, do we have the latitude to make a recommendation that adding 2 additional bedrooms to a house that is in an environmentally sensitive area is not recommended? Because I think it isn't from a conservation point of view. Now, whether or not we,
correct.
Go right down to Shell Beach, they went,
lot of houses.
Cora House went from
Yeah.
2 or 3 bedroom to 6. And if you've been down there lately to Shell Beach and see the monstrosity that they built there,
but do you
I
think?
mean, it's
Is
a
it
water sensitive area in a flood zone.
But because we've approved other
No, I-
structures, should we not at some point start to say no to these things is really, I guess, what I'm asking.
No, that's,
I think part of it is the minimum septic system's 4-bedroom anyway.
Right.
Okay.
That's probably,
So if they're going to expand, might as well.
yeah, I mean, that's.
And they have 3 kids, I mean, kids.
Well, yeah, they're grown and all that stuff too, but it's still, that's your minimum,
They have
Every 6
grandchildren now, right?
but that's the minimum system is a 4-bedroom system anyway, so.
So because the minimum system is for a 4-bedroom house, that is the driving rationale for why we're, you know what I'm saying? I don't
The only way
really,
you can tell the people that, if you're not allowed to expand the size of the footprint, you can go up. Unless you want to discount that altogether. You
Yeah.
have to really pay them fair market value for the house, and the town would have to buy it, really. You can't,
Yeah, I don't think
you don't have the,
I don't think you can restrict the going.
you can't restrict it.
no.
Okay. Well, I guess we have a moratorium on, certain structures. I was just wondering, I mean, is it possible to have a moratorium on things like this for purposes of taking time to look at our ordinances?
It's a good time to.
I don't know.
It's a really good time to do it.
Yeah.
There are other communities that are doing that are a whole lot less worried about water than we are.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess the
I wouldn't want to be the one to tell
That's a
people that.
whole,
You can do that.
that's a different can of worms.
That's why
But
we
aren't
wanted
we all
to keep.
dancing around this? And
No,
isn't it something that we really believe in? And isn't that why we're on this committee? And I just think these opportunities, they're.
Well, this place is going to end up with public water. Like a lot of Silver Beach will, I mean.
Okay, yeah, I know that. I mean, there's water
I think a lot
issues.
of, now the town is kind of heading in that direction, hopefully, so, if we can get some wells in down, or whatever is going to happen, it would be
Right.
great to solve some of this problem,
we turn into tomorrow's town board meeting, we're gonna talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
A little bit about that.
Yeah, but it's almost,
I thought the meeting you had with the Suffolk County Water was very enlightening about, going into Satcham's Woods even.
Yeah.
I mean, and if it's a nitrate problem, they have to build a whole plant in there. Now, I would be completely against that. Sinking a well is one.
Yes.
well, they have to find out what they haven't tested anything
No,
yet, so
no.
they gotta see what's there.
But Well, I mean, that's where the town has meetings and we.
Would you like to summarize?
Hey, with wells that are,
Would you summarize?
wells, there's all different kind of levels of what you pick up in wells. Like manganese, which can be a problem. And you can raise your well or lower your well 4 or 5 feet, completely get out of that whole strata of stuff.
Right.
So, like the church, they've got a well in a crummy spot. And I wasn't for doing all the nonsense they did. They had the rectory had a great well 100 feet away, just hook up to that well. Rather than spending, I mean, anybody that has a piece of property that has a bad well is not going to go and put all that money into a system.
I mean-
They're going to go drive another well and try to get better water. But for whatever reason,
Well, the environmental rationale as it relates to restricting construction in the wetlands, I mean, part of it has to do with water, but is there also, aren't we talking about wildlife as well? Aren't there?
We have the Nearshore Overlay Peninsula,
Yeah.
133, which has certain restrictions in it for doing anything in that area. But not on, for some reason, the code seems to be like upward only. It's sort of like the code they changed, no dewatering for a swimming pool. Now, what is the difference between a basement and a swimming pool if you're going to dig it?
well, you're not allowed to do
There's
water
no dewatering for a basement.
for basement either.
Now, and I'm gonna cover that in my report.
Okay.
All right? But we have passed some good things, and we have an opportunity to look at some other things before December 31st, and I'm gonna introduce some of those things tomorrow at the meeting.
Okay.
So, rather than, and I agree with you, a lot of this could be standardized, when you talk about different things, whether, you're talking about limitations or, paving materials or automatic pool cover, which is now required, and,
It's some good steps.
do you allow pools to be, kidney shaped because, well,
Get a cover for
you can't, now I can't put a cover on that because of the shape of the pool. Well, do you allow it that way? So you're concerned about depth of pool, size of pool, gallons, is there a maximum gallon for a private home? It's not a community pool. You need something 75 feet long by 50 feet wide by 8 feet deep, and with water shortage, so these are all legitimate questions that need to be addressed and looked at. In terms of stormwater, Energy Star certified and WaterSense certified appliances and fixtures, it should be standardized. It's not something that we should be discussing, encouraging. If it's a brand new house or a major renovation, you gotta put them in.
Absolutely.
This is not things that we need to split hairs about.
It really isn't.
Right. But now there's a lot of properties though. I mean, if you look around, like you take along Midway Road, all those little houses along Manana Creek.
Right.
That were built, 100 years ago.
Sure.
That, the lot's the size of this room, there's a house there.
Right.
1 3-story house.
Right.
Basically, it's like 12 feet, there's a lot of that. Tuttle Drive, same thing.
A lot of those places were summer places, cottages.
Right, that's all they
to
were.
begin with.
And all those
That's
people.
a huge difference.
A lot of those people though, have kept them in the same basic,
Rent.
Sure.
Yeah, well, and also haven't really gotten crazy because they couldn't.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they kept them that way, so.
But the other problem was 40, 50 years ago, all those bungalow types of houses, small houses,
Right.
were used by the homeowners.
Right.
Now, not necessarily the case.
Right.
Because now they have them out on the market for rentals. And are the rental people coming in using this, cognizant of the water situation?
Right.
They may not be. The owner may say, hey, listen, let's not take 20-minute showers, but they shower in the morning, then they shower, come back to the beach, and then they play a game of basketball or tennis, go play tennis, then they shower again. And there's a lot of things there that the abuses to the aquifer can be substantial. We have hundreds, we're not talking about 50 rentals on the island. We're talking about hundreds of rentals of people that need the good neighbor brochure. You need to read it, sign it, understand it, and maybe on all rentals, you need to put meters so that, and build it into the contract. And by the way, you're not allowed to go over a certain number of gallons for your 2-week rental or for your week rental or your month rental or whatever. So there are a lot of.
Well, the only way you could do that is to meter the water.
Meter the water.
And then you've got to have public water to do that, so.
Yeah.
Oh, you can put a meter on a well, can you?
But like those people, like the people along Midway Road,
You put a meter on a well.
a lot of them have approached me to try to put a system in there. But the trouble is without public water, there's no separation. I mean, they have a separation now of like 25 feet from their well to the septic. I mean, it's like the best they can do. So, you know, there is a best fit scenario, but that's like, you know,
Just wondering, do you all remember that, or the pamphlet, The Special Place?
Yeah.
I always thought that ought to go to every new homeowner.
Well, we did too at the last craft fair. We had that
Yeah.
handout and we mentioned that to everybody that stopped by.
Like do the, you know,
Real estate.
That's where it should come from. Here, this is part of.
They know that.
They should do it, but maybe they don't.
I mean, they shouldn't sell a house that has bad water either.
Yeah, no, well, that's part of it.
But today-
How we live here, how we live to conserve, you know, what we have. It's basically what that pamphlet is
They
about.
sell houses here with open, COs, on not one CO, but 4 COs, and they don't tell people, and then real estate people don't do it, and people come in and they say, oh my God, all this was done illegally, the finished basement, the this, the that.
Right.
And then now they're held responsible.
They have no problem.
That's an education for them, it's an education for the real estate companies that have been negligent, it's an education for the sellers.
Well-
We have a moral
Maybe we
responsibility.
need to type up another, you know, whole set of rules, and each real estate office should have it and have to give it to the people and follow it.
I think Christina is in the room, I think these are things that the current town board is very, very, very much aware of,
Okay.
and we are working on. You know, it's not all gonna be done
No, it
overnight.
can't be.
And a lot of these recommendations, by the way, when Mike B. Bell was here, and you have to respect Mike's work as an engineer, the stuff that he put in here, 1 to 3 years, years 2 to 5, immediate. You know, so the WAC, when they sat down and they looked at these dozen or so additional mandates, they weren't gonna plug them all down everybody's throat, you know? I mean, we've even talked about the IA system for all home sales. So the person coming in, well, you don't have to have it in on day one, the day you move in.
Right.
You give them a 3-year or 4-year or whatever. But the end of it is, how old is the existing system? If it's 40 years old, 30 years old, 2010, they have different rules. So the older they are, the quicker they have to be replaced. So the ones that are, like my house, it's 16 years old. If we were to sell and somebody moved in, well, maybe they would still have a good functioning conventional system, which is better than the ones from 40, 50 years ago, but it's still not as good as the IA.
Exactly.
So, but any exchange, these are things that we're gonna talk about and look at.
Okay.
You know.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
It really is.
There's a lot of discussion that needs to take
Good.
place where you're not asking anymore, you have to actually bite the bullet on some of these things.
Okay, so in a way, that's
It's
sort of
very
being taken
important.
care of in a different form. Okay.
So I have a question on this wetland here, the pond. Is that man-made? I mean, it's so circular, that's kind of bizarre.
That one?
In the.
Oh, that
The
actually.
pond in front of the house?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, no, it's an inlet that comes in there. There's a little bridge that goes over.
Yeah, I see that, yeah, but it's so circular, it doesn't look natural. That's what I'm saying.
That's on, not on their property, that's on.
I know, but it's, yeah, but I'm just.
That's on Duke Foster's property,
yeah,
yeah.
that may have been dug at one,
Now, it has to
was it
be.
dredged at one time out to?
You know, I don't know, Christina, you know that?
I don't know.
I, to be honest with you, I'm not certain on
Look at the
that.
area,
but
it's like a, circular, it's,
Yeah.
there's a little like inlet there and they just look,
Yeah,
dug it
you know.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Somebody probably dug it.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
there's that one and that one
People
there.
did what they wanted, you know?
Right, but that could have been done 40, 50 years.
100 years ago.
100 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember 2020, you know.
I know.
Maybe not 75 or
His
60.
pool right there, that little pool, it's a small pool.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, there's a pool there, right?
Yeah, Foster's.
Yeah, Foster's.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
See, but there's another.
He did all.
Right, yeah. I
Back
mean, that.
Yeah.
a long time ago.
Some of it's above ground, I think, some of it.
It's above ground, yeah.
Above
I
ground.
mean, is that, well, it's connected to the whole tidal area. so-
Yeah, I mean, it flushes and all.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
It
yeah.
could have been dug years ago.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah, it could have been, sure.
I mean, look at it, it's perfect circle.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
It's the aliens came down, made
Oh,
one of those.
No,
Well, I will tell you.
Las Vegas.
You're very perceptive, Mark, because when you go in there on that given day in the fall or something, or the spring, it's very photogenic. I mean, that place, when the sun is setting, and the sun hits off that little pond, and you're sitting on the Carpe porch, you know, if you're sitting up there.
Yeah.
And I'm on the road, but if you're on the porch, it's a beautiful sight.
Oh, yeah.
That's why they're looking to stay, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
The
Right.
situation is a beautiful place.
Yeah, you know, like Heather says, we have places all over the island. Sure, so you have to take each one as a separate
Yeah.
entity.
Well, we have the silt fencing, we have the, have this, we have
Oh,
the
yeah, that's-
YA system, we have the well itself.
So wait.
Yeah,
The easement. Anything else?
well, I want to,
Do they still use the cistern? We can find that out.
Well, I mean, it's there. If they wanted to use it to hold water to water stuff, they could, I guess. I
yeah.
don't know if they're using it for water for the
Well,
house
let's
now.
just find out if they're using it at all.
Right,
Not indicated on the site plan, it should be indicated where the cistern is.
yeah.
So indicates, if it's there, you're saying.
yeah.
So
Indicate.
are we recommending that with these adaptations, we're gonna pass this, or are we just reject it
We
because
haven't
it's?
got there
I
yet.
know, because you said
That's where we need to get to,
get there.
right?
That's what we had to get.
Right, but if it's
That's
not in the
right.
original footprint, we can just say it has to be in the footprint, we're done, we even discuss these other things.
I agree.
later.
Well,
So too.
that's why I brought up about the silt fence has to be shown and stuff like that on the site plan. You can't,
Well, if they're
it's required.
not going to be allowed to.
If they can't allow to do it, then they need a whole new.
Yeah, if they're not going to do
right.
any foundation work, they wouldn't even need the silt fence, would they? I mean,
No.
if that ends up.
Not if they're not
Right.
doing any work.
If they're
there.
keeping it inside the
Well,
footprint.
I don't know now, if they keep it inside the footprint.
Right,
Right.
You know the debris.
Yeah, yeah.
On a
Well, it's
house.
going to get knocked down to the deck.
Yeah.
right.
And then rebuilt, so. but
So
whatever.
to your point,
Yes.
I think we should just reject it because it's outside the footprint within the 75 foot and then let them come back with their new proposal.
Absolutely.
You talk about, they can still go up, we can't at this point,
Apparently,
changes there,
yes.
but we can put our foot down with what we have here to work with.
Absolutely.
So it's a total of what, 400 square feet more?
Something like
Yeah.
that.
Where are they actually adding that?
It's up on the sides.
The garage is getting.
Garage side.
Sorry.
Just for a garage, on the north side of the house, that is?
Yeah,
Yes,
That's where the driveway is.
yeah,
right, where the driveway,
Yeah.
on the north
So
side.
the garage is being expanded?
Yes,
yes.
and
And
then,
anything else in the house being expanded?
yes, along the, I guess that's the west
West
wall.
wall.
Oh, they're squaring up that one little corner?
Corner.
Right.
And then a little bit over the porch, but it's minor, but we're not gonna allow it. I mean, we're gonna,
That's right.
Right.
Not.
I agree.
I was just,
Absolutely not.
if they accept it, I was just giving them other things.
No, that's good. No,
You know.
I'm not trying to say you shouldn't have done that.
No, you're,
I think it's other things that people should look at, here's a site plan ready to go. If we approve it and it still doesn't have the silt fence shown and stuff like that.
Right, okay, yes, valid points.
And it should have a vegetation plan, is my other point, because it's required by the wetlands. But I mean, we
So-
can just reject it,
so-
but just put it down.
Right, so we could reject it and say, under your new application, these things should be included.
Consider this,
Right.
How's that? I like that.
right, consider that.
that's very considerate.
Because there was also, that
And they're probably working with the same architect, I would think.
I'm sure.
Yeah, so,
they like them.
otherwise you could get the same thing and with it, and then you have these other things aren't even there again.
There was also
The architect.
the roof drainage. I don't know where the dry wells are located. They're not shown. You know anything about that, Peter? The dry wells for the roof drainage? Did you hit any?
No, I don't think there's anything in
The
that.
pipes go
Wait a minute.
down.
Yeah, they
Pipes
do.
go down
Yeah, they do.
on the west side, like there's
Right.
places there. But they're not shown. And
Oh, they go into the cistern.
they go into the cistern.
Yeah.
So the cistern's right here somewhere?
Yeah, it's, see where the patio is? Stone
Well, that's
patio?
something we
Where?
would suggest.
It's off of that.
The rainwater go
So they're-
into the cistern, so they.
Yeah, that's where it goes now.
So they're using that for
Then it
irrigation?
overflows into a small dry well if it ever overflows. So that's where everything goes now. All the-
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they're using the cistern as a dry well, sort of? I mean,
Well, it has an overflow, so once it fills all the way up, it just
they're
overflows.
not drinking out of it anymore.
Who knows? I mean, it worked fine. No, it worked great.
Yeah.
They actually ran a regular swimming pool sand filter
Right.
with a UV light, and they'd recirculate that water, continuously.
The motion,
Okay.
yeah.
And then, it's probably better than bottled water to get.
Probably, good point.
But I mean, that's interesting. So, I mean, that would if they're using the cistern for the water
potable
runoff,
water?
that's terrific.
Yeah.
Good idea.
I mean, they probably, I don't think they're drinking it, but I think they're using it for,
If they went for the
Hours.
well way up on the road, I don't think.
Yeah, probably not.
I really don't know what they're doing with it.
They'd have to have separate plumbing, but,
So we don't have to mention that then.
okay.
But I mean, maybe they're looking in and they see it.
No, it's underground.
No, I mean, that they hear what we're talking about, that's all.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see what else I had. Oh, there's some, which is the vegetation plan, there's some
Right.
runoff damage off the roadway coming up here, going into the road over here. You can see it's runoff from the property, runs over, flows in, and which will eventually get to that pond.
Right.
So they should do something, but that's, once,
It's on the west side of the road entering in,
yes,
on the right-hand side.
yeah, when you come up the driveway on the right-hand side, you can see it's sand there and stuff, so.
Right.
And then what they did along, they put railroad ties on a portion of the property, but,
Oh, to hold the bank.
yeah, but they didn't do it over there, so. But again, that, if you want, we'll just go with the rejection and let them come out. You think that's it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, tell them why, you know.
I think that's the best under the circumstances.
Yeah.
I mean,
To be honest with you, in the interest of time, since they've been working on this for a decade,
yeah,
rejected. The number one reason for the rejection is the expansion of the existing
Right.
footprint.
Correct.
But there are 6 or 7 other things we call your attention to.
Right.
List the 6 or 7 things.
Right.
Give them a copy of it.
Right, and they could,
That's
for their next permit
Okay.
application.
That,
Yeah,
one thing I noticed, the DEC permit was only through 2021. So I don't know if that's something they should be considering, but
so they can probably renew it.
yeah, it's usually an automatic renewal or something.
Yeah.
But it's just something to mention that, you know, they should look into that.
Right.
Maybe they have, it's just not shown, but it needs to be seen.
Right. Okay.
Too bad the four barrels, so, okay,
so we need a motion here?
yes. We're gonna, what will it be? That we reject it based on an increase in the footprint?
It violates code.
Make a motion, reject the application due to the fact that the application is outside the original footprint and it's a 75-foot buffer. And it's 5 items or 6 items, it should be looked at in your next application. something like that.
Okay,
Correct.
all right.
That makes sense?
Yeah,
Perfect.
okay,
Yes.
let's take a vote on it.
So I guess second it.
I second it.
Okay, vote. So it's rejected completely?
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
Denied, let's say denied.
Denied, yeah.
Denied, yes.
Okay. I think that was a good job. I think it was very informative. Got a lot.
Vote 6-0, is that?
Yes, it was.
What's you?
6-0. Okay. Now. Throw this away, I guess. Okay. The next one is,
Before we go on, Jim, I know the meetings, you're very good about reporting what we do. And I think, obviously, I think you talk about how we have the discussion and how, I think it's important, obviously, the other board members who aren't here realize, you know, we spent a lot of time looking at it and we looked at all different alternatives and, you know, we really looked at it to try to help them, but at the same time, keep the code. I appreciate you.
I think the current town board recognizes the efforts on the part of the CAC.
All the committees,
Especially with the 75-foot. I mean, obviously, even within 100-foot, obviously you don't have that, right, you get 75 foot. And the expansion, you go up, and there's not
Right.
that, it's expanding out. It's a marginal kind of amount of footage, but 400 feet is 400 feet. That's the basis, the primary basis. There are 6 other, half a dozen other things that they're not cited. I'll cite them and.
I'm sure you do a great job.
Take that to the Carpes and.
Yeah. No, thank you for representing us, I guess I'm trying to say, in the light. I know, but,
They
right,
get fired,
Right.
right, you know.
but you could say, oh, they just rejected it, you know what I mean? Obviously.
Right, that you
I
explain
understand.
it.
Right, no,
Never do that.
no, I know you wouldn't. I said that's why I appreciate your, you know,
It's
filling in the lines, you know.
No, and I'm also very much in favor of, for all committees, when you do reject something, specify why it's rejected.
Right.
And make the effort to get that communicated to the owners, the applicant, as soon as possible.
Right.
You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be tonight or tomorrow morning, but I don't want the notification to be a month from now or 2 months from now.
Right.
And then people call and say, oh, by the way, what happened to my application?
Right.
We should do, if you have ways to enhance the application, they have to resubmit something, tell them exactly what you're looking for.
Right,
We'll try to communicate.
sounds good. Thank
Should
you.
be interesting tomorrow because this is on the new format on the planning board accepting instead of the town board. So I want to see if the planning board takes up the recommendations that.
Good point.
Is there anybody, will the liaison always be from the town to the planning board? Now that this new system is,
Well, the new system.
Good point.
Christine's in a room, so I mean, I have to be very honest with you. You know, when I went to New Mexico, or Arizona, that thing, one of the things I talked about with my 4 colleagues was the fact that I was definitely I was sold on the fact that I think that the planning board has the expertise and has the knowledge and be able to be and scrutinize these things better than the town board. I think they could do a better job than that. Now, I'm not giving them up my responsibility because ultimately it comes back to the town board for our vote. So, but they are making that, not in essence, because they're making the judgment. But I would like this 6-month trial period. So by the time I leave office, and I've said that to Christina, I've said it to Jerry, I've said it to my 3 other colleagues, that, and to Kylie, that I think it was a big step. I think it was the right step, but we tested out. And if it's working, great. Tomorrow we'll find out. We'll find out whether these applications, how they're being scrutinized. And that doesn't mean that after 6 months you couldn't change it back. But for right now, let's try it. I could say the same thing about, the beach passes are not gonna work. This is not gonna work. Guess what? We tried it.
Right.
They worked. And not only did they work, they were tremendously successful. It doubled 2.5 times our revenue.
Right.
And it helped people.
Right.
It helps the rental agencies, helps everything. It's a win-win-win. I don't know. Let's not make a prejudgment. Let's keep an open mind. If it's working, it's working. If it's not.
Or it's gotta be tweaked a little bit.
Does it need to be tweaked again? Or go back to the way it was? So,
Sounds
is that
good.
right, Christina?
Yeah,
Basically.
To answer your question, there is a liaison to the planning board.
Right.
However, that doesn't change the fact that the planning board is independent board. And
Right.
the
Right.
liaison has no vote, they don't inject
Right.
into the hearing or the
Right.
entire meeting.
so they will be like what Jim is now. There'll be a liaison from the planning.
From the planning board who attends these meetings? That's what we're
They
trying.
currently are, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
They're liaison to every board.
Correct.
Correct.
And they're the eyes and ears of the town board. So therefore, as they respect my view about deer and tick or this or recreation or whatever committees I sit on, I respect their point of view too, as you know, they're there on behalf of me and the rest of the town board to make an assessment. I want an accurate assessment. Is it working, is it not working?
Okay, sounds good.
Fair statement.
So then in terms of the interface with the planning board, is that Jim or Howard? Or does someone attend these meetings, just as
Someone from the planning board will attend this meeting.
someone from the planning board will start attending these?
Yes.
That's what we're trying to figure out, is the practice.
Yes,
How is
they will
it?
take the recommendations, that's the memo that we will draft. So
Yeah,
Right,
this board, this
Right.
council should draft a memorandum after every discussed application to the planning
Right.
board, and that's their guide.
okay,
If they have any questions, if they have any follow-up, they can all go back to video, they can go back to you guys. They have you as a resource, but there is no necessarily planning board attendance at this meeting.
okay,
Correct. That would not happen now.
okay, but you will continue to attend these meetings?
Well, he's
No,
here.
maybe they will.
Maybe the town board, we don't know.
Yeah,
Well, to be honest with you, I'll share this information as I always do in the following day or
Right.
the Tuesday meeting, and then my colleague is sitting there that represents that, you know, that even though they
If
don't have a
down the
vote,
road they will find the need.
but they get that information firsthand.
Okay.
Sounds all right, I guess. We'll see how it works out, that's all. And, so, okay.
Gotta try new things now, Howard, come on.
Yeah, you just don't want to introduce organizational confusion, because I think, yeah, things get lost if you don't really know who's responsible for what. So that's why we were asking, yeah. Okay, well, we'll see. Okay.
How it goes tomorrow night, we'll see. Well, they'll make a decision tomorrow night, I guess. That's what the hearing is tomorrow night, so. They'll be writing the resolution also?
Oh, no.
Who writes that?
Their attorney.
But that's part of,
I thought the question is tomorrow, no.
oh, no.
Yeah, the planning board, their attorney will be drafting the resolution.
Resolution for it. And will that be made public like it is now? It's written in the reporter or something like that, the resolutions? At the meeting, actually, it's given.
No, yes, at the meeting, like, it's a public document.
Right, that's what I
Public
mean.
document. It will function similarly to zoning board, right? So you have a public hearing, then the hearing is closed, it goes to the work session, they discuss the conditions of the resolution, and next meeting, they will vote on the resolution. But the zoning board doesn't typically post their resolutions, they're, subject of a discussion. And
Right,
once they're approved, they become as a part of the official record.
okay.
Okay.
So how does
And
the,
that's something, again, like, if you are, like, let's say, at the end of the process, you're interested in knowing, like, what was the conclusion.
Right, why?
That's something that you may, like, the town code doesn't request from the planning board to report back to you,
Right,
right? But if it's something that you are interested in and would like this to become like part of the flow, I think it's an easy request to the planning board to be like, hey, we are interested in seeing the resolutions once they approve.
okay. So
Yeah,
still give
So
the reasons.
how does the planning board get the input from us from tonight's meeting? You'll write the memorandum, okay.
We're short
Make sure.
form just on our recommendations.
Right.
Yes.
Not entirely.
Yeah, just what we talked about in the motion,
Yeah.
right? Okay, great. Thank you, Christine. Thank you. Okay, good.
That makes it.
It makes perfect
that makes
sense.
it neat and clean.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
it does. Great.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay. All right, should we move on?
Yes.
Okay, the next is the invasive plant. Dan unfortunately couldn't make it today. He's working on this, and we're trying to get other committees involved. So he's going to talk to Tim Pertel from the Green Options and possibly even to the CPF, because we're all involved with the environment. And, some people might have different opinions on what plants and how invasives come over with a boat or something, it's-
Right.
plant each other. And he's trying to work it so that you just don't have a name, you have a picture of what it looks like, because I can look at that list, and I go out in my yard, I say, what the heck is that?
Right.
And he's gonna have a picture, he's gonna work that out, he's trying to find out if we have somebody from the town that can help us do that, so with him and Tim, I think we'll know a better idea next meeting on that. So,
Speaking of plants, the beech trees are really taking a beating.
yeah,
I mean, I don't think
I
we'll
know.
make it this year. All mine around our kettle hole are almost dead, even up at the pit. I've got a whole beech stand in the front and they're all dying. The little ones are
Any
going.
copper beech or just other beech?
I haven't seen any copper beeches, but the regular beech
Where are they going from?
from this nematode.
Nematode worm.
Copper beech is also not immune to it because I play tennis with wrestler Kurt, and he has it on his huge
Yeah.
200, 150-year-old
Yeah.
beech trees.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
have 2 beech trees and I have, knock on wood, they're perfectly healthy.
yeah. It's really a shame because they're gorgeous trees.
There's a stand at beach at Mishamik, they're all dead already.
Really,
It's not like, I don't know how big it is, pretty big size area, yeah.
yeah.
all right. Next thing is you, Mark, on pesticides.
I don't have anything
Oh, wait a
new.
second, no,
Yeah,
you're not.
Roxanne.
Okay, before that is the article about our publication that Roxanne, we talked about, So now we can write that because
We can change it.
change it from the town board to the planning board.
Yes, and is it called a planning board or a planning commission?
Board,
It is a-
commissions in the county level, yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay.
All right.
Thank you. I
And
know
then
that.
after that, I guess we'll submit it to Steve Kiley.
Is that the way, yeah, is that correct? Did we submit it directly to Steve? Does he want to read everything we write? How does, yeah, what's the protocol there?
Unless it's legal.
There is a protocol. So this is for the article in the reporter.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and also, wouldn't we wish to?
Website, too.
Yeah, we have there's a town website, so certainly anything that we put together that deals with conservation, whether it's an explanation of this committee and what it does, or individual recommendations that are conservation oriented, it would make sense to have both an article in the reporter and have the information hang out on the website in some convenient place. So can you advise us as to how to do that? Because we've produced 2 documents
I
now.
mean, posting on a website is easy. I just need a document and,
That's what I thought.
yes, that's absolutely.
Yeah. And you could do that.
But as to the content, I guess,
I would say it's dependent on the content.
yeah,
Yes.
depending on
You know,
content,
I mean,
like if you
something
have
like-
an, yeah, if you have.
Something like this with
an-
procedures and something
Yeah.
like this would be, you always get another set of eyes and ears on something. And Stephen is good like that, he knows the
Yeah.
procedure very, very well. So I would encourage you to do something like that. But if you're writing an article on
Pesticides.
pesticides, I mean,
If Mark thinks it's okay, it should be fine.
again, Mark would be probably a strong.
More the
person
expert.
To check in on.
That, Dan too, I mean,
Or
Dan.
Dan, yeah, but if,
Anything that impacts the procedures, town code, or things like that, I would bounce it off.
If it's educational, not,
Right.
it's probably should be.
Correct.
then it doesn't need to
Long as
go
it's-
to the lawyer. Okay. Well, I think the first article,
I'm thinking, Deer and Thick has this educational committee, and then, so member prepares it, the chair reviews it.
Yeah.
Right.
They bounce, typically they.
It's been in the paper.
Jerry, he has a glance on it, and
That's right.
he has any questions, he
Yeah.
typically ask one of his staff members.
Probably a good idea to send it to town board, I think, before it's
And
published.
distribute to who they think it should be.
Yeah, that's a good
that
idea.
makes so much sense. Okay,
I'm thinking there is a procedure, I haven't reviewed this for a while, so I'm gonna look into it.
Okay.
Maybe before we wrap up the meeting, but this is what we do with the Deer and Thick, and it works really well.
The other thing is, if you're looking to, a constructive criticism, let's say with Deer and Tech, about whether it's the flyover or the 4-poster or whatever that was, and you're taking a different stance as a committee than what you think the town board has approved, probably be a good idea to say, hey, listen, would love you to take a look at this. I don't want you to discover it on Thursday morning, comes out the paper.
Right.
I'd rather have you take a look at it. Doesn't necessarily mean we're gonna practice censorship here and
Right.
condemn any ideas where you can't deviate from town board.
Right.
It's just a question of just saying,
Right.
because sometimes it's, by the way, no, you may not be aware of the fact that we've changed something here, or we have granted permission, or it's just a courtesy type of thing of
absolutely.
dotting the i's and crossing the t's.
Right.
Yes.
No, I think it should go to town board, like, for example, on number 3, it says, it's a recommendation, cut your grass to 3 inches. Somebody could read it in the paper and say, what, the town board says you gotta cut your, and you're going, what? So
They're
if you've
encouraging
seen it, you could
tips.
say, oh, well, that was just, so you're aware of it, you're not caught by surprise if someone approaches you at it.
Yeah.
But I think having it administratively be reviewed by Jerry, I mean, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? So if there's anything questionable in terms of the wording. Or Christina, great, better yet, if, yeah.
By the way, recommendations are strictly recommendations.
Absolutely.
He recommends that the length of a lawn to 3 inches.
No, right, no, I understand
It's
that,
strictly a recommendation.
right.
Whether we agree with it, disagree with it, by the way,
Right.
it's what is smart.
Right, exactly,
But
right.
my point is, someone could read this in the paper and think that the town board made a rule saying you have to cut your grass to 3 inches.
Right.
So you want to be caught
And we
by
don't want that.
surprise.
We're just trying to come up with
Well, I think
environment.
the people that would object the most probably are the landscapers that rely on them collecting that thing because they like to cut it every 7 days, regardless of whether you're in a drought or not. Now, the average homeowner like myself, if we're in a drought, I go 14 to 17 days.
Absolutely.
Or more
Right.
before I cut the lawn again.
Right.
course.
And I raise the mower up.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Either that or it burns out and you've got nothing.
You don't have to bother mowing, it's great.
Right, you don't have to mow anymore.
It's a wonderful thing.
It is.
Stop it, yes. Okay,
All right,
great. Thank you.
Yep.
Now we know what we're doing.
okay.
Excellent.
Okay, that's important.
It is. Done here.
Okay, so that's okay. Mark, you're okay with that?
Yeah, the only thing I thought for this could be in the website, but maybe for the paper, we just condense it, obviously.
Sort of.
And I like what's helpful, that could be sort of the title, and then even if you don't list all 6 or whatever we could get,
Yeah.
just make it a little shorter for the
Short.
paper, like bulleted.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And send it to the town and say, please, you know, we issue it
So-
to the reporter. We don't want to.
Do it.
Well, you have this, so you want to
I do.
send this to Christine and then send it to Jerry? Well, keep-
I think so. That's what we'll do with that one. And then if we need a.
You have the other one too, right? You want to
And
send
the
both
other
of them?
one, which needs to be modified because we did say that we made recommendations to the town board and now it's.
It's not true anymore. Right.
Right.
So there's just one word that needs to be changed. Yeah,
Okay,
Good.
I think that's it. And hopefully your name is spelled correctly in the last iteration because that was the other revision. And if it isn't, we need to make sure that it is. So, yeah,
Okay, good.
that should do it.
Okay, now, James, you're up next, town liaison.
Well, I started with that comment that I wanted to share. We are resurrecting, as I did last year around this time, about with the drought stuff. And I looked at my old notes, and since I'm leaving office, I said, isn't it a shame that the WNC did all this work and it sits there year after year? We were in drought situation year after year. Why haven't we adopted this? So the town board revisited it, they looked at it, WAC revisited it, we passed it, it's now fact. I would think that if we don't get some substantial rain, which today was not substantial rain, was barely swept around type of thing, probably less than 1/10 of an inch. You know, we're gonna be in a phase 1 drought alert, you know, which most of the thing now is voluntary. So it's a list of things that you can do to get the attention of the community that this is voluntary. If the wells get so low, and we're monitoring these on a daily basis, the wells get that low, and we're gonna go to phase 2 or phase 3. Then they're gonna be, the word mandatory is gonna become more in, and we're gonna have enforcement issues of how do you enforce this.
Right.
But that's for the town to worry about. Obviously, we need to be more proactive and less reactive.
Yes.
We need to anticipate, and by the way, the beauty of weather forecasting today, you can get a 3-day, 5-day, 7-day, 10-day, you can get a 1 month. You can get a seasonal, you can project out as, this is not rocket science, we put a man on the moon, but we surely can look at weather patterns and predict what the Northeast is gonna face between June, July, August, and into September. If it's an extended period of time, why wait for it to go down? Because the earlier you take these measures and the better, the more water you're gonna conserve. If you wait for the levels to go down
Right.
by July and you're still facing August, September drought,
Right.
you're in trouble.
Right.
Now you're in phase 4. You want to avoid phases 3 and 4. That's my, you know.
It's like retirement. You want to save some of your money before you retire.
Correct. I tell my wife that.
How much down are the wells right now?
They were slightly, you know, when I went to the WAC meeting, I happened to be working in here when that meeting was going on, so I overheard them. They were slightly down for this time. However, the new well readings were coming in. We had no substantial rain since that meeting. So I am anticipating, because they probably have to do the same thing. I think the WAC will come out with some stronger, there was this close, like at a committee meeting between the people that wanted to enact it that day versus the people that said, well, let's just wait and see if in fact, so it was kind of split that day. I think because of the lack of rain in the last 4 weeks, you'll see more people coming to the bill and say, no, it's time to move on here. But my thing with this thing is, again, there's a lot of good things here. Installation of flow logic or similar devices, automatic shut off for water in the event of a leak. How should have that? I mean, really,
Oh, they do after it floods.
requiring groundwater monitoring prior to home construction. New homes and major renovations should, you know, those are things. Size of homes we're looking at. Requiring landscape plans we're looking at. We gotta be more environmentally friendly with native plants and grasses that tolerate wind, salt, and dry conditions. So I wanna bring this back up with the idea we're gonna just look at it tomorrow, disseminate it to my colleagues, take it home, and then with the approval of the 5 of us, along with, probably Joe, who was an instrumental part of this, and Christina, that we would then distribute it to some of the committees with some guidance. And give them, solicit some of the feedback from the committees, quickly back, could you respond to these, how urgent, what's easy, you know, again, we always talk about low-hanging fruit. It's easy to enact the low-hanging fruit right away, you know, so it took us a long time for pool coverage, took us a long time about dewatering, but we need to accelerate the pace, and now's the time to do it. Again, I don't expect, and I'm not coming to my town board members with the idea of these 12 to 15 items here, 15 items have to be enacted tomorrow.
Right,
But they do need to be part of a plan.
right.
Whether it's a now to 1 year, 1 to 3 year, 3 to 5 year, there needs to be, like we have plans for everything else.
Right.
For sea rise and climate change and capital planning.
Right.
You gotta start planning this stuff out now because the handwriting's on the wall.
Yes.
Can I interject for a minute, Jim?
Yes.
On your recommendations that you have there, is there any regulations now, if you're in a test well for a new building on a vacant lot, when the test well has to be done? There isn't, is there, that I know of?
No, that's something that we could consider.
Well, but the point I make, let's say you're building a lot and you say, okay, I'm gonna do the test well in November or December. We've had a lot of rain in the fall. Oh, the water looks good. But then in the summertime,
Right.
that may not be the same situation.
That's something. I have down here on item number 12, requiring groundwater monitoring prior to new home construction. Town engineer and past town board members have requested the use of Hunter's curve and thesis.
Right.
And/or Cooper Jacob analysis of the aquifer impacts on new homes and projects.
Right,
Compliance has been voluntary, but cooperation has so far been decent, has been good.
Right.
You want to mandate this.
right,
How about the WMAC? What's their position on this? This is part of their management, WAC's has a management plan. This is key outcome number 3, 0 to 5 years, page 14. So I cited exactly in the management plan on all these recommendations where these things are coming from. They had been discussed
yeah,
several years ago.
right.
And they're sitting there, not being acted on or looked at. Now is the time to start to look at these recommendations as we have in the past and start to act on some of these things.
I don't have a hydraulics background, but to me, it makes sense if you did a test well in the winter and then also in like August, then you'd have your high and your low, and that could give you an idea like, well, there's water here for a 4-bedroom house, not an 8-bedroom house. That, I don't know.
Correct.
If it makes any sense or not, I don't.
It makes great sense.
Also depends on the tide.
Yeah, and also the aquifer,
Yeah, right, sure.
aquifer only holds so much water anyway, and then it goes overboard into the creeks.
Right,
But I think what's really important though is the dry well thing. I mean, if you can keep the runoff from going into the bays.
right.
That's.
You know, and that needs to be stepped up. They don't do much of that. They've got a lot of rings piled up, but they don't have the time to do them, you know, but they need to try to do more of that, because there are places. Yeah, recharge, you gotta recharge. Like a lot of places, they'll put one right before it gets to the bay.
Right.
What you wanna do is catch it on the way there.
Right.
So that last dry well isn't getting overwhelmed.
Exactly, yeah.
Just having got back from Southern California, they went through 5 years of heavy drought.
Right.
I mean, just everything burned up with all the fires and everything else. This year, Northern California, even Los Angeles, you've got rain and snow in Southern California. So the mountains still had snow on them when I was there a week ago. Still had snow on the mountains as you look east of LA.
Yeah.
But everybody's got the sprinklers back on it. You know, 5 years of deficit, 1 good year of winter, spring, does not balance it out.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can't be guaranteed that year number 7 now coming up is not going to go back to 5 years of drought. So thank God you got what you got.
Yeah, right.
But now's the time to implement all these measures.
Right.
Until you see Lake Powell and everything else,
Back up.
and all these things come back up and the Colorado River, go 50 feet higher.
Right,
You're still in a.
Yeah.
And they continue to build in Arizona, New Mexico, Southern California. You gotta put a moratorium on building.
Right.
You can't take another 1 million, 2 million, 3 million people living in the southwest of the United States. There's no water for you.
Correct.
And you have what, 50, 60, 150 golf courses there? I mean, come on. Something's gotta give, folks.
yep.
Synthetic greens.
There you go.
Yeah. They are doing, private homeowners, as we're doing native plantings here.
Right.
They do one of two things. They have either gone to the stripped at the street between the sidewalk and there. A lot of people have changed to native stuff, cactus and things, rock,
Yep, or rocks.
gravel and
Yeah.
cactus.
All right.
And some of them have done it up on the front lawns of the house. Some of them have done exactly what you just said, AstroTurf, like the bank.
You're not allowed to have grass
Like the
anymore
bank has.
in Arizona, are you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're not allowed to have grass anymore in Arizona, are you?
I don't know. I don't go to Arizona that often.
I think it's mostly
What I'm saying-
AstroTurf if they want to do anything.
I think I think there is somewhat of a conscious effort, but we are a country that reacts to crisis.
Slowly.
We are not proactive, we are simply reactive. We've got to get over this. We've got to, the scientists are telling you something. Whether you want to believe it or not, I don't give a shit whether you want to believe it. It's here. I mean, what do you do? When you're up on the roof of your house and the seas keep rising? Come on, I'll be long dead and buried, but, come on, it's the handwritings on the wall. Experts. I'm not an expert. These people are telling you need to act now, you need to act now.
Okay,
Let's continue.
what else you got, Jim?
Yeah, the only thing I had wanted to add, because I loved your list of, recommended changes, but tree preservation ordinances. I mean, a lot of enlightened communities are looking at that, not just with regard to public lands, but also for private homeowners, whether it's a percentage of the property that you need to keep the trees that are there intact. But I guess I'm just wondering if we have had any conversations around doing more with that, because right now you can pretty much chop down anything you want on your land.
Less than an acre, right? You can pretty much go in.
Right.
Acres,
Acre.
most, a lot of those properties, I'm on 0.98,
Right,
Okay.
So when we went shopping in there and the neighbors all came, the first thing they said is, "Hi, how are you, Mom? What are you planting?" No, I planted 320 bushes of trees in the first year.
you did, but that's, everyone isn't.
I mean, it's.
Right.
However,
Right,
I used Kentucky Blue and it did last a week. I mean, it was gone.
right.
So what, you put what down on your lawn?
And then
Nobody said.
fescue.
Fescue or ryegrass or
Soysa.
Yeah,
what's the other one with the deep roots, the perennial
Yeah, sheep pasture.
fescue.
Fescue.
Fescues.
The drought resistant fescue, which now, when you pull it up, the roots are substantial. Not like Kentucky Blue, that grass seed's gotta die, somewhere, because.
but I guess, one of the things, Paulette, who is probably, one of the greatest advocates for wildlife on this island, knows, but we're taking a lot of habitat for houses. So, I think that we really, and the animals don't attend these meetings and speak for themselves, so we need to, right? But I think that if we were to consult with some folks at Mishomic, for example, they would have some points of view about what we're doing on, non-nature conservancy land. And I think Gordon feels similarly, just, from the standpoint of the group that the preservation group and what we're trying to do with putting back land. But since so much of the, who's calling me? Sorry about that. But since so much of the land is on this island is in private hands, just taking a look at tree preservation ordinances might be something that's also timely, just so that people don't have
The
to.
things that Mishomic does makes up 27% of the land mass of Shelter Island.
Right.
The things they've done is the meadows. They've rotated the cutting of the meadows, and the second thing they've done is major deer management. So that when Mike Glaspia, and I think I said this to you last time, Mike Glaspia went through, maybe it wasn't, and Mike Scheibel went through with Cindy and a bunch of other people, went through and remarked, like, they hadn't been in there in a while.
Yeah.
Back in the Blue Trail, and said, oh my God, the understory is actually starting to come back. The forest is starting to look healthy again.
Right.
Because the deer herd,
Right.
we probably have the lowest ratio of deer on those 27% of that property, especially by the end of March. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't pick up in April, May, June, where people go in there with deer going in birth and the population
Right.
picks up again. But they have made a conscious effort to balance nature, and there are other creatures other than deer that survive in Neshomic that rely on meadows, birds and things that rely on it, and other animals that rely on a healthy forest. So education, convincing people that, of course, there's all balance here, you know, you have to do the right thing in terms of balance. And you know,
Well, we'll certainly never convince people if it's their private land that they can't knock down all the trees that they want.
Right.
If we leave it to just like anything else. But if you do have at least some ordinances that restrict how much of that you can take, and other places are doing that.
my hope is that
Yeah.
when I distribute this, if the town board allows me to do this, we look at some of these things and they distribute it.
Yeah.
That list needs to be added to.
Correct.
So we can continue to seek the insight of the three committees.
Right.
Green Options, this,
Yeah.
and WAC, three
Yes.
leading committees that are very environmentally oriented to get some more additional ideas. Because some of those ideas may precede some of these other things that.
Yeah, it might be
because they
very
might be
easy.
Easier.
They might be very easy to do.
Low-hanging fruit right there.
I think so.
Well, I think that then some of this needs to go to real estate agents, that you get a piece of paper saying this is what you're not supposed to do. Frankly, when we built our house, my motto was not one more tree down than necessary. Consequently, I have a huge tree right at the end of my porch, but anyway. That's the way
Make
I
it
want
bigger.
And it's wonderful, I have wildlife and all, which I love.
Yeah.
Also, you gotta watch trees too sometimes, because sometimes they look great and they're all hollow inside. I mean, you know, it's
I'm laughing at myself.
it's amazing how, you know,
Yeah, this big
I'll
tree
let
that comes
my
down.
report on two things. I talked to
Yes.
Sean Clark sitting here the other day, 2 or 3 days ago, and Sean.
Dan Clark?
Yeah.
Sean.
Oh, Sean, okay.
Clark.
Yeah.
And Sean has been on patrol late at night from 12 to 8, because the rookies all get the bad hours. And he said, we talked about the fox. I said, I haven't seen that. He said, literally, I haven't seen a fox in 4 or 5 years.
I haven't
And
either.
I'm out all over the place. I'm there at 6 o'clock in the morning with Sean, I've never seen a fox. He said, Jim, I'm happy to report that I see them, 5, 6 of them in various parts of the island.
Oh, great.
I saw one out on Shell Beach, I saw one in Silver Beach for you. It might have been the same fox, but I am starting to see fox.
Good.
The other better news is the quail situation.
Right.
So they have, a guy ordered 10,000 of some of these adult quail, not little quail, the adults. And the order went bonkers, you know, they pulled out. So now the growers have all these extra quail. So they knew we were interested in getting some in fall. They said, listen, we're prepared, we need to dump them now. We'll give you the price, a better price of what you paid for the young ones. They're smarter, they're more savvy, they're mature quail, and they can reproduce a lot faster, but we'll get them to you in June. And you don't have to come to Pennsylvania and pick them up, we'll bring them to you. So with all that said, and within a matter of the next few weeks, we will be getting another 1,000 quail in. They are going in some of the same spots, but some different spots. We have found and I have, as I told you, I have my grandchildren with bird feed sitting down in the driveway and a quail eating out of their hands. So I wake up to it every morning with the windows open.
you hear them all the time now.
From 5:30 in the morning to 6
I know.
o'clock. And then I walk in the garage, the door's open, quail follows me in the garage. Second door. It's my pet quail. You know? So the good news is they're there, and, without the high density of fox, obviously hawks are hawks, and I'm sure they get a few as well, but a vast majority of the quail, the young quail that were killed in the first 2 weeks by automobiles. They're up on roads. I saw them all plastered all over Silver Beach because they put them in 3 different spots at Silver Beach. And every time you went by that spot, one day you would saw a hunt, then less, and you'd see splattered one here and a splattered one there. And people just not paying attention. Just drive right over them. I don't know what people are thinking about, but
We don't really have any signage because there's turkey.
People don't, read anything. How do you run over a 50-pound turtle?
Well, yeah,
in a
right.
car?
Right.
You know, I want to make a concrete turtle and I want to put it in the road, with spikes in it, and watch the whole car blow up. Because it's like, how do you do that?
But there's a lot of people who don't run over the turtle. I guess what I.
No, but what I'm saying is the snapper turtle, you saw the one in the paper.
Yes,
I mean, they're like, you know, and they get up on 4 legs when they're crossing the road and they're moving.
You can't miss it.
No, God, it's like, I'm gonna hit this rock? I mean, really? No.
Yeah.
It's like you have to try.
I heard a story once of somebody that loved running over the turtles because they loved to hear the popping sound.
Well, that's,
Isn't that disgusting?
yeah,
That's pretty
I mean,
disgusting.
that's just
that's pretty
horrible.
disgusting.
But if you had signage around that said just slow wildlife, you know,
They have those turtle signs around, you know, they do.
We have them,
Yeah.
we put them out.
Yeah.
They're out there, especially down near the bird sanctuary, near Brandenstein's, near the place that Don goes, there are signs.
Signs around.
It's a question of people paying attention when they drive.
right. Well, I know everybody's never going to pay attention to everything, but I guess the more signage you do have out there with
Wakes 'em up.
permanent signs,
Wake 'em up.
the more it would just, yeah, it would.
I like the concrete turtle.
Listen, I put it on shelter.
That happens a couple times.
Great idea.
The quail, when they were splattered, and said, you gotta start, and then I got 3 comments on there, why do you feel the need to have to post such a gruesome picture? I said, I don't know, to get people's attention?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I hate to sensationalize it,
But
but,
it does.
I mean, how do you do this? You know, I mean, but again, people are weird.
But you'll never stop it.
Everything, but I think if you try to have something in front of people, you know, regularly to say
Sean
slow,
said he's gonna work with the shelter and reporter, so when they release them, they're gonna put the spots that they
Good.
release and tell people, and they're gonna put some signage on,
That's
even though
good.
they're adults, so.
yeah,
I think,
it's helpful.
I'll tell you,
Doesn't hurt.
another thing people could really do that would really help the wildlife right now is to have a groundwater, not so much a bird bath, but like
Oh, right.
something at ground level.
Yeah.
I keep a water hole open down the bottom of my sand pit, and the amount of turkeys, hawks that bathe in it, you know, the ospreys come down, they bathe in it, you know, and everybody's getting drinks out of that. They won't go up on a bird bath, but if it's around like a, you know,
Yeah, a pond, a little
Right.
the
pond.
best thing are those black horse,
Oh, yeah.
Horse feet water.
and you set them down so they're just the lip sticking up.
Oh, yeah.
And you put a little bit of sand in the bottom so it doesn't look like it's, you know,
It's like a pond.
yeah.
Yes.
And everything will go in there, and you'll be amazed what comes in there, and all the baby turkeys, the quail. Quail are hitting that like
Nice.
crazy too, but they need water. I mean, it's a drought, they're, you know, they're out running around with babies and
Right.
there's no water.
Can we try to write something about that? I need help from you.
I'm not,
Yeah.
that's, we
You don't know, yeah.
why don't you, if you call.
It's called Dan, he's.
Dan Clark.
He's the
Yeah, he's
whale.
involved in that.
We could do one on quail.
Mitchell Clark is involved in that.
Okay.
Sean Clark is involved in that.
Yes.
Last name Clark.
I'll tell you another thing that's super fun is when you're done eating a watermelon,
Yeah.
Yeah.
take that watermelon, set it out next to a tree on the side.
Yes.
And watch the birds and everything go with that.
yeah.
They completely clean it out. It's unbelievable. I mean, they come from everywhere for that.
It's water.
That's
My
really
cows used to
cool.
love watermelon. I mean, they would get so excited and they'd take the watermelon out in no time. But the little critters love watermelon and the birds, everything get in there. Really makes
See
it.
the fox down there?
I have not seen it. And I had 8 of them living at my pit. That one year when the foxes were everywhere, and they just sunbathe, the little ones would sunbathe on top of the sand pile, and you'd hit the pile and then it would move, and they didn't even care.
Yeah, well, I
It didn't make a
had,
difference.
I had 4 every night that would come to my house.
Yeah.
And they'd sit there. I have cats. I'd go out on the back porch. I'd sit on on my bench, and cats would sit here, and the fox were here, and we look at each other. It was amazing,
Yeah.
and they disappeared. And that
Yeah, that mange, it just poof, went right through them.
I haven't seen one since in many years.
Yeah.
Learning lesson there, when they start to become overpopulated, you gotta control the population.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do have to put them, just like with any other, when you
Well,
reduce
they
the
did it.
population, disease hits, it's not nearly as devastating. I know people don't like to do that. They think it's cruel, but it's actually good for the species.
Well, they're not-
That's why the turkeys took off so much. You know, you'd see, the mother turkey with 8 babies, and then like 3 days later, it'd be like 5, and then 4, and it's got 1, like right behind it. You know, and that's how it was when the fox were around. Now they have a pretty good collection.
Yeah.
Still, you know.
They do, and that's a good example of that.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
But the groundwaters are super important now.
There's more rain coming tonight, looks like on the radar, so
Yeah, I'm ready to-
Get a little touch of it when it whips around,
still-
you know, tonight.
maybe a half inch or less. All
All right.
That would be good.
right, Howard.
Those are all interesting and
They are, right?
good topics to take up, and I think we could spend an hour on each one easily, so.
Silver Beach came out with a simple two-question questionnaire. Are you in favor or against ordinance for tree cleaning?
Right.
We do that in every neighborhood.
Yes.
If we find out we have a majority, it shouldn't be that difficult to pass the ordinance.
Yeah, that's the survey that's going around with all the homeowners associations is going around. So
Yes.
It's
It's a good idea. Great idea.
Yeah,
Really good idea.
we'll find out at the next meeting how the response was
Yeah, it's good.
and see how that works out.
And it's usually not people who buy a finished house who cut the trees.
Right.
It's
To expand a
it's the
little.
developers
Right.
who want to make it easy for the contractor.
Right.
True.
True.
They chop it clean, and when they're done, they're leaving. And
Exactly.
you're left with a hopper house in the middle of a barren piece of land that they try to grow grass and run the sprinklers in the middle of the day.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And then you scratch your head, are you all dumb? Are you mean?
Right.
What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you?
But certainly something is not ticking right.
Correct.
Well, that's the difference between the developer built
Shade,
house.
shade. Number one thing.
What's that?
The grass, anything in shade stays green, everything in full sun.
Oh, yeah, it does, yeah.
What do you
now everything.
Well, yeah, it's a classic example. The house that was built on the water by Shuckstone, right near you, and then that one across the street, there was a developer. I mean, the one guy saved as many trees as he could, and the other one cut every single one down. That's just the way it is. You know, so,
We can,
But it's not how it has to be.
no, I know that, but
Yes.
that's the difference between
That
a
is-
homeowner,
Right.
you know,
Correct.
building a house and,
Right, it's,
That's right.
so then they put on the market and
Christina wants to go home.
Yeah, it's the way it's been
She's celebrating
done.
her next birthday here, but I want to close my comment first. Right, Christina? It was, she kicked me and said, "Hey, Jim, let's shut up and."
She gave you a signal.
She gave me a big time out.
yeah,
I went to the Conoco Partnership, big event, huge event, you know, there were 4 panel discussions there. I was on one of them, but everybody in the sun was there that had a PhD. I was one of the few people without the PhD. But Mr. Larson's name came up for IA Systems.
Yeah.
His daughter.
that's right. I heard you
He
mention it.
praised them. I'm sitting there with hundreds of people in it. They couldn't have been.
More-
Shelter Island has 200, and vast majority of them, you know, probably, 80% of them have put in by this man here. And they couldn't believe the amount of information that he knows, and they love working with the guy. So it's embarrassing a little bit for you maybe. I want to tell you that these people spoke highly of you and Meg, so.
it's great.
You know, it was really a great testament, you know.
now that things are normal again, we're doing about 2 a week.
Really?
So, yeah, and we just did all the servicing, finished it up like a week ago, and we're averaging around 10.
Nice.
So it's really good. A lot of the units are single digits, so. Wow. So coming from 50 and 60 down to that is really
I want to
good.
say 6 or 7 years ago, 8 years, whatever it was, about 7 years ago, when you had this vision, you were out in front.
Right,
You were out in front
stocking up.
for everybody else.
Fuji.
Yeah, well,
All
those guys, the job's been doing that since the 60s, so
You
knew
got
what they were doing.
Experience.
That's right.
Right.
All right.
All right.
Fair, Howard?
The last thing we have here, or the last 2 things, is old business, is the Arts and Crafts. That's scheduled now for August 26th, so think about what we can do at our table there, and I think they're thinking about relocating us behind the school or something, I heard, that possibly not in the same place we were last year. So, but we have to volunteer, an hour or 2 each and help us out and think of some interesting things to put on our table so we can help all the articles we have and stuff like that.
And we talk about Highbury Lane in the
I was
pond.
just going to bring that up.
Okay, I thought you said it's the last thing you were going
No,
to say.
no,
I'm saying, no, it's not.
The old business,
Okay, yeah.
Berry Lane.
Yeah.
I talked to the building department.
You did what?
Went to the building department.
Okay.
And they said there's One Point Lane.
Right.
It was a subdivision there. And they should, we were also talking about the property extending into the
Well, they
wetland.
have the chairs and tables
Right.
across the stream on the other side.
So I told the town that you would probably stop up and look at what that subdivision said and would allow to be done there, so
Okay.
putting in your hands.
Oh, well, thank you. I should ask.
So when you go swimming by, that's what Howard said.
Well, okay, but I mean, who do I have to go to then to get the information?
Go to see Mary Ellen and she'll get you in the right direction. You can look at the file there.
Because-
Read, but.
Or Jim?
Yeah,
Jim Riley?
they're very busy.
Okay, and then the other thing is the pond itself. I mean, we
How
talk
did
about
you-
this every time, and you suggested a pipe going out to the bay, I think, or, no, I think,
Yeah.
okay.
Better it is.
That'd be like the final solution.
I mean, what do you all think? Should we bother with it, or do we,
If you can get them to okay it,
Yeah, that's the
That's the
thing.
whole-
we have to as a committee? I'm not, I can't just go to the
Yeah, it's a
DEC.
DEC thing, you know.
Okay.
I mean, it would definitely be less intrusive than dredging it every year.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
for sure. You'd
It
think they,
keeps changing anyway,
yeah, yeah.
You're saying it'd be what, let's,
I mean, let's, we're really almost twice a year, you really almost have to open that up, the way things are,
Yeah.
to keep it going. So I mean, if you had a pipe in the right spot,
Yeah.
wouldn't have to do that anymore.
don't you agree, though? It's completely changed. I mean,
Yeah, oh, yeah,
a
yeah.
mud pile now, and there was never, ever like that.
Right, well, they need to get back in, like, it used to crawl in a little further and,
Something, yeah, but it's a shame it's just,
yeah, because that sand just keeps pushing up in there and it blocks it.
yeah, it's going to,
Unless you crawl up in there enough and start to open that up.
yeah, well,
It's just gonna look good out here for an hour and then,
yeah, right, yeah.
You know.
So I mean, it's, as I say, from the years I've been here, it's completely, I've never seen it like it is.
it's nice how it's going out right now.
Well, yeah, but still, every day I see the pond itself, and there's always these mud flats that
Right.
I've never seen before.
You gotta get out there and just get it deeper.
Yeah, if we want to.
Yes.
I mean, the thing is, do we want to do this? We just want to leave it as it is and let it take its course.
Yeah,
I think
the pipe would solve it, but,
Yeah. But
Petter is making a recommendation for a solution. So I would think that that's what we would like to
Well,
do.
the thing is, everybody on Shelter Island knows that that's the way to do it. It's to get everybody else that's in charge in the state.
Right, DEC'd have to.
DEC probably is.
Oh, DEC would have to go along.
Yeah,
can't just have-
it's not like we, we have
do it.
saying it. That's
yeah,
the
yeah,
problem.
so we have
Okay.
to go to them
Yeah,
then.
you gotta have to go to them and
town
plead your
would.
case. But, we got a town engineer now, so
Yeah, he could.
he
Okay,
can plead the case.
maybe
Maybe,
he could look at it and.
maybe you
Yeah.
speak to the town.
He's been there, I've been there with him.
Okay.
I've taken Joe out there.
Have you seen that? You've gone down and seen it,
The
yeah,
whole habitat has changed. In
Right.
fact, you're getting very few
right.
creatures in there now, where you used to get Mark and Cindy.
Oh, yeah.
At that one time said, Jim, been down to Highbury? I said, not recently. He goes, you gotta come down there. I went down there the next day.
Yeah.
It was like, wow.
Right, yeah,
It's like the Everglades.
75 different,
Yeah.
birds and birds and
Yeah.
shorebirds. It was unbelievable.
I go every day to.
How many years ago was that, though?
Not many, about three,
4. It was before COVID,
Yeah.
before COVID.
So even if the mosquito guys would come in and open up those trenches again.
Yeah.
To let it flow, that would help a lot.
Yeah.
Like, they haven't done that in a long time.
Maybe that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
You know.
They have a special machine that's on pontoons that can come in there and,
Okay,
Yeah, the east side of that inlet there, at the far end, is so stagnant.
yeah,
yeah.
So cruddy.
Right.
If I was a homeowner looking down at the smell,
Oh, yeah.
mosquitoes,
so you think they'd be complaining?
But, a lot of
I think
that's,
so.
but Jim, a lot of that's all those leaves that fill in those little trenches that used to drain that are now clogged.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. You gotta get back in there and open that stuff up again. Not the whole thing, but just the trenches.
Yeah,
Where are those trenches located?
yeah,
Well, you'll find, I found one with my excavator when I was dredging it the last time. I got stuck in there, but, yeah, if you take an old map aerial, you'll see where they were originally. They'll show up on that.
Google map and you'll see.
Yeah. Well,
Because
the-
they go back to 85, so.
Yeah, it should still be on there pretty good there. You can see where they did them. It wasn't a big deal. They maybe 2 feet wide and 3 feet deep. But what happens is the leaves get in, they fill that all in, and then it can't flow anymore. But remember how before we put the pipe in,
Do we know how many approximately, whether half
Oh.
dozen, more?
I really don't really know. I think they kind of went in and then they crossed across a few, in a few places. There was one line that went straight through the
whole
back.
map will show that.
Yeah.
area on that.
All right.
So Jim, are you able to follow that up to some degree? Is that why you're asking?
Well, I was just thinking if Joe and Joe's been very, very, very busy with a lot of stuff, so I have to take times, but if we get a little downtime, we should go out there.
Even to take a
We
look.
would do a little work beforehand, to be honest with you, so I'd like to know where these trenches.
Well, Jim, you know, a classic example of how it would approve it is down by Eklund's, that pipe you guys put through.
Yes.
And you see the flow that's in that whole
Yeah.
back estuary now compared to what it used to be.
Jacob's Rest down
You
there.
know, it's like a whole different world.
Oh, that was remarkable how quickly that.
Oh, yeah.
That was cleaned
2
out.
days.
I mean, to be
Yeah.
honest with you, every time I went by there, I took my camera, I said, I cannot believe it went from being black, desolate,
Yeah.
it looked like it was on the verge of
Yeah.
giving its final blessing,
Right,
to a month later, like,
yeah.
up, and everything started coming back.
Yeah, yeah, well, that's exactly what'll happen.
It's very
With this.
forgiving
Okay.
when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Well, let's
Yeah.
maybe,
Good deal.
yeah, yeah.
Just, you got to do it.
Okay, well, and Howard, what are we doing? Are we going to do
Well-
anything about the trees? I mean, who should?
There's a survey going around from the Shoal Island Association
Okay,
to break some, whether we should do something or we shouldn't. It's just a survey to see what's going on.
and whether that land belongs to them or not, too. With
Oh, you mean the trees
the
down
tree-
by?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
Hay Beach is, you're in Hay Beach, right?
has one?
She's in Hay Beach,
I
yeah.
I live in Hay Beach.
Definitely.
Yeah, but I mean, you're represented, so
Yeah.
not every
Cliff,
property here is represented in the.
No, not every-
No, but Howard and I went,
Specific on a piece.
Howard and I went down,
Yeah.
and these people have just, they're new owners, of course, completely taken down the trees in front of their place in order to see the pond and the bay.
yeah.
And I don't think that it was on their property.
Did they shorten them or did they take the?
Well, I don't know, some were this high and some were maybe this high, but the thing is that obviously it's for a view of the water and all that. Well, nobody else has done that around there, or if they did so
Yeah.
long, again, you don't know that they did it, you know.
I don't know if there's any law against doing that.
I don't think so.
If you take the stump out.
Oh, if it's in the near shore overlay.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Then there is a law.
There is? Okay.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, as
Top
And
of
it is, it is.
far as I know, I don't think they're supposed to do what they
This
did.
town, 5 or 6 years ago, had 80 or 100 trees cut.
Right, and nobody comes up.
Middle of the night by some mysterious.
Oh, I remember that.
It was on town property too, wasn't
And the
it?
person who was, it had to be one of the houses.
Yeah.
But I got on the porch illegally trespassing by way of my camera, taking pictures, and the cuts, it's amazing, like somebody took a laser. You got us exactly from the porch, you could see the beach and then the water.
I know what you're talking about.
And I'm saying,
Was that
a lot of circumstantial evidence, but don't put me on the jury because you're guilty, man. You know? Oh, by the way, transactions were all done in cash. Nobody, there was no paper trail, nothing. And we investigated that high and low, and the police department investigated that. Good.
That was county land too.
county land?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exact, county lands, yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So motion to adjourn?
So good luck.
Yeah,
Be hungry.
yes.
Second.
Okay, yes.
Good job. Thank you,
Oh, I just, hold it, we have a
Oh.
question.
Oh,
Question from the audience, okay.
Pam, you have any questions? Hi,
Yeah, hi
Pam.
there, man. Just one question. Prior to this, now the public hearings are gonna be held with the planning board tomorrow.
Yeah,
The planning board's gonna be discussing 3 wetlands applications, the 12 Westmoreland Drive, the 9B Peconic, and 7 Chipwood. And I am wondering, will your memorandums, your memos, your comments and recommendations be available to the public prior to the public hearing tomorrow night and be published online?
the minutes are public. Well, they're not online for the latest, I don't think.
They're posted, I'll post them tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be tomorrow, Christine.
Christina, Pam is saying,
It's.
I'm
This
sorry,
hasn't
I
been this hasn't been practiced in the past with the town board. It's a decision for the planning board, not for the CAC.
Okay. Did you hear that, Pam?
I did not.
Okay. Christina said that's a decision for the planning board, not for us. So she couldn't answer that.
But
No, why would the decision be for the planning board to post your memos and your recommendations on any web? Doesn't make any sense to me.
Because it hasn't been done in the
It's
past
your
with the
memo. I
town
mean,
board.
of course, they've never been published. I understand that. I've had to foil for them, but now that you've only just made one recommendation for one of these projects, that's not going to be able to be, I can't foil for that tomorrow in preparation
No,
for
you
the
can't.
meeting. This is my
Right.
issue.
Sure.
And I'd like to see all of your recommendations prior to the public hearing so that I'm
Right.
well informed on how you felt about those all three applications. This is my issue.
dilemma.
Well, Carpe is tomorrow.
Right,
It is a
Oh, it is?
dilemma. It's,
yes.
it is a dilemma because the
Yeah.
meeting is tomorrow night.
Right.
Exactly.
One other note. One other thing of note is that on the link to the wetlands applications from the CAC committee page, it does not take you to wetlands applications. Now the wetlands applications are only posted on the planning board
Right.
page. They're not
Okay.
posted on discussion documents and hearings.
That's what I found, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Should they be on both?
I don't know.
No, it will be just a planning board, it's just a link that needs to be fixed, you know.
Okay.
So the link, but
I'm sorry, but I don't know that this is Christina's decision to make. I'm asking the council how they feel about this.
The decision, it's just something needs to be fixed on the website.
Yeah.
something, can you hear her, Pam? She's saying something has to be fixed on the website, that there's a link from the CAC to the planning board.
It should just be, the wetlands application should just be on the discussion documents page, like every other application is. They shouldn't just be exclusively on the planning board page. It would make it a whole lot easier for the public to handle these applications and to be able to find them. That's
She's
my-
saying it should be on both pages, the CAC and the planning board. Is that what you're saying?
I think it should be on the discussion documents tab. That's where it really should be, where all the special
Right.
permits
Right.
are and all the other
Right.
applications are in front of the town. It should.
Okay.
That's right, you shouldn't have to go search for
That
it.
makes sense? Yeah, we agree, right? Yes.
We gotta have the town.
I mean, it
We
seems to
we
make
don't work the
sense.
Yeah, we're
web
not-
pages.
yeah.
Right,
Love to work that
But
out.
Christina's here and she'll
Look at it.
that out.
look at it and
Yeah.
make-
Look at it, and yeah,
Is that right, Christina?
just an application, yeah, right.
Yes, she's right, the hearing all of a sudden is tomorrow night, like even on this meeting, ma'am, top pay is tomorrow night, it's listed as a
Right.
hearing, so.
Yeah,
Christina's gonna be good enough to get the 4 or 5 items that we listed and denied the application, and that'll be on the website.
Yeah, it's on the planning board, same thing as the zoning board has their application on the zoning board, not in the
Right.
legislation. It's the same thing. We have procedures in-house how we post things on
Right.
the website.
Right.
So this is not that we're developing something, I'm realizing that there are little kinks, like
Gaps.
this link that was linked to the wrong page, which is just fixed, so it shouldn't
Okay.
happen moving forward. But, yeah, we have internal procedures where the things are posted on the website, so, every board has its own page, basically.
yeah.
Okay, so planning board has its own page, there's the application, zoning board has its own page, there are the applications listed. Then there are recommended, committees in your position that they have a, you know, recommendations only, not the decision making. So then we're linking that link to the specific page. It's a prevent to post it in a million places, then you have an update and you have to, you know, backtrack where everything is. So it's developed to work it efficiently, not to, you know.
Okay, all right.
There's a few people who handle this, so you have certain limitations.
Of course.
Getting used to the new website, right?
Okay.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay.
Anything else, Pam?
No, I guess not. So does that mean that your recommendations will be posted prior to the public hearings tomorrow night? That's really all I want to know. Somewhere on the website?
Yeah, that's Christina, you're gonna put it on the,
Planning board's decision, it's not a question for the CAC. There's
Okay.
something that needs to be asked the planning board.
I'm sorry, I don't understand why that's a planning board decision. This is a public hearing. You've had the meetings, you've made your recommendations. applications, and that's public knowledge. If I could foil for it before the meeting tomorrow, I would. This is not a planning board decision. I don't see how this is a planning board decision. This is your recommendations that should be available to the public. How is that a planning board decision?
Because it's a discussion document for the planning board hearing.
Did you hear what she said? But
That should be available to the public,
It is.
but it's
Okay.
not. One memo is not even written yet. And the other two that have been just previously discussed at other meetings are not posted on the
Meeting, right?
website.
I feel like it answered the question.
yeah,
Okay, let's see what happens tomorrow. I'll
Yeah.
be looking forward to that meeting.
Right.
Thanks for.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will be Pam, so.
okay,
Thank you for coming.
thanks.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's close the meeting.
Yes, close the meeting.
Motion to close.
Okay, aye. I'll second it.
Second.
All right.
All right,
Yes,
very good meeting.
All right, kids.
I think so too.
Have a good evening.
You too.